thing that I loved this week, the Hall of Fame class announcement. So the reason I love the Hall of Fame class announcement is because it puts into view something that I think is relevant to conversations that we have had recently. So notable first-time nominees include Carmelo Anthony, Sue Bird, Dwight Howard, Marc Gasol, Maya Moore, Amari Stoudemire, like all manner of different guys. I don't want to leave anybody out. Billy Donovan's on there, Mark Few's on there, Sylvia Fowles is on there. There's a bunch, right? But it's headlined. I mean, I think you would say the two biggest names of the guys that I mentioned, no offense to Amari Stoudemire or Marc Gasol, but the two biggest names are Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard, both of which everybody agrees are going to be Hall of Famers, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Carmelo Anthony. They are also, to me, the reason that this was significant is because as soon as I saw that list, and as soon as I saw Carmelo Anthony's name on there and Dwight Howard's name on there, to me, it was part of a bigger picture, and especially with all of the discourse going on about NBA and negativity and everything else, and I know something you're going to highlight here in a minute. When I say Carmelo Anthony and I say Dwight Howard, generally, people talk about what they weren't. Right?
Yeah.
People talk about what these are all time. I think they are shining examples of what people have talked about, which is this is one of the greatest players, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. This is one of the greatest defensive players, rebounders, in NBA history, both of them. Two of the greatest players that we have had. And yet, if I bring up their names, people will talk about what they aren't. And to me, they are examples of kind of what is different about the NBA than is different about even other sports that I don't think that happens. I don't. I think the discourse around basketball players is much different. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because they are a great example of that, right? If I say Ed Reed's going to the Hall of Fame, nobody talks about anything bad about Ed Reed.
No.
Or
even like, you know what's a good example of that is like Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow looks like a soccer player that someone just handed a football and said, you have to throw this thing. Like he was like a good college quarterback, and like he was a bad pro quarterback. But people, if you say Tim Tebow, people will talk about what a great quarterback he is.
Yes, or his collegiate career or whatever else. Yeah. But I mean, I just find it fascinating, and it's headlined. It's all like, we're going to go to this all-star game, which people are trashing and whatever, and that's where they do the big thing. It's like all-star weekend, and then to me, it's going to be hilarious that it's like, and going into the Hall of Fame, and there will be the day where people will be like, oh, Carmelo Anthony was a bucket, or oh, Dwight Howard was one of the most, one of the best centers of his generation, and yet, both of those guys, if I bring them up, the first thing people will tell you is something bad about them.
Yep. That Dwight Howard is soft, and that Carmelo Anthony never won a ring. That's what you're going to hear. That's what you're going to hear in the barbershop.
And do you feel like that happens with any other sport? I don't.
I think just in general, there's that being negative is just like people's default setting a lot. But
why is it not about the other?
It's more so in the NBA. It's more so in the NBA.
Why not with other sports? That's what I would say.
Yeah.
The way it is treated is different. And these are two all-time greats. We both admit these are all-time great. Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard are both all-time greats. They are.
Yeah.
And even me saying that, I will for sure get a tweet saying, what the F? They're not all-time greats.
Yeah. I just love that your thing that you loved was actually something that you loathed. You can't even keep it positive. Chris Vernon.
No. I'm saying they're all-time greats.
Okay.